Can't cold call. I don't want to door knock. I don't want to do that. That doesn't jive with me. And I know it works for some people, but I love building relationships. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. If I can do it in a genuine way where I'm not trying to sell anybody anything really. So it makes sales really manageable for me, my personality.
Today, we're talking with my good friends, Seth and Kristen Horst from the North Idaho Experience, and they are absolutely crushing YouTube. In their second year, they grew astronomically. They went from about 6 million in production, which is not bad at all in 2023, their first year on YouTube, to 2024 to doing, they don't even know, but somewhere between $35 to $40 million in production. It ended up being 2/3 of their business, almost 70 transactions from YouTube alone. Completely changed their lives and their businesses. And now they have started their own brokerage. They've got a team of 50 agents. Seth is like, man, I get noticed all around town. He's like, we've just taken a hold of Northern Idaho, and it is just something that they never expected to happen. And it took them 6 months for the first phone call. So again, they stuck with it. They stayed consistent. They didn't give up, especially whenever it was difficult in those first 6 months. And they were questioning, does this really work? Well, they've got a lot to share with you today. You're not going to want to miss a single minute of this conversation. So let's jump into it. And welcome, Seth and Kristen from Idaho, North Idaho, and the North Idaho Experience. I love the channel name. How are you guys today?
Hey, good. Thanks for having us back.
Yeah. And actually, I want to kind of jump into the name first and foremost, because this is a funny question that comes up all the time, especially when people are starting out, is they get so hung up on naming the channel. Mm-hmm. And, I like the North Idaho Experience because it's just something a little bit different. And, because, what we did for over 4 years ago, I was just thinking more in search terms. And I just realized now that it's not really, the channel name really is not that relevant until later down the road, but it is something you do want to think about branding to as well. And at the same time, living in or moving to or even relocating to or something seems to be a common theme, and people just kind of follow suit. And I'm actually recommending against that. You should find something unique. So let's talk about, if you don't mind, where the North Idaho Experience kind of came from.
Yeah, you hit it on the head, because we have had other names. We were residing in North Idaho. Do we have another one too?
No, we had, I think originally we started, and then some other guy came after us and told us to change our name. But right. So we did residing in North Idaho. And then our team name was Your North Idaho Agent. And so I think we ended up, because we have a podcast and in the YouTube channel and the YouTube channel that does real estate stuff, the podcast, and then a team. So that all came around. How do we brand so that we're one name instead of multiple names? Because people were getting confused.
It made things a lot easier when we went under that one umbrella of North Idaho Experience. And we wanted, so the podcast is really about the community up here. We don't talk about real estate very much in that. And that's it has a lot of benefits. It gets us a local foothold up here. We bring in guests from the community, and then we build that relationship with them. So it leads to potential sellers down the road. So we loved the name for that, because people are, I hate to say it, but you start talking about real estate and people are like, I'm checking out. Right? They don't want to talk about that, but they do want to talk about the community. So that kind of led us to this name. We rebranded the whole team. Everything is now the North Idaho Experience. And another side benefit to that is, we have merch now. Let's see if you can see it.
Oh yeah. All right.
So we've got a ton of different t-shirt styles. They don't say anything about real estate. They just say North Idaho Experience. We've got cool branding. So we're pushing them out into the community, and people will actually wear them.
People are asking for them.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
We'll probably start selling them at some point. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, hats, a bunch of different styles. And it's cool to see them in the community, because it puts that brand recognition out there in a very subtle way. And it's not, nobody's going to wear like Joe Schmo real estate. Nobody's going to wear that, right? But they'll wear this. And so it just helps push the whole channel out as a whole.
Well, it's funny you mentioned, we were literally just talking about this like 2 days ago with our channel, and talking about merch. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I think we got kind of a cool logo, and it's got Texas in there, but I was like, nobody really wants the Living in Dallas, Texas team t-shirt, And I said, if we're going to sell merch, we need to think of different cool things about Dallas, really, if we wanted to do that. And then maybe we brand our website or something real small, or maybe put it on the sleeve or something like that. And we just have something unique. And actually there's a company here, and this may give y'all some ideas as well. Hey, you should check out my new community for free. It's where I host all of my more in-depth trainings, and you're going to get access to step-by-step courses showing you how to get buyer and seller leads for your business using passive prospecting, a supportive community of over 1,300 members, and weekly group coaching sessions you can attend and ask questions. Now, this community is all about passive prospecting and getting quality buyer and seller leads through YouTube without spending a penny on ads or cold calling. Now, the link is in the description below, so make sure you join for free today and say hi to me when you get in the community. I look forward to seeing you there. There is a local t-shirt company here, and they kind of do something similar to that, and they have like the Texas 7-day forecast, and here in North Dallas, it'll literally be 70 one day, 30 the next day, 85 the next day, a tornado the next day, hail the next day, and so it says like 7-day forecast, and it has all these different things going on, and or it has like local neighborhoods like White Rock Lake, and a cool little picture of the lake or something. I'm like, that's stuff that people would like, and I was like, so we need to probably come up with our own ideas and things that would be useful. But I don't know if you know this, but now that you got 10,000 subscribers, which, by the way, congratulations.
Thank you.
Because how old is the channel now?
Are we 2 years?
About 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. So that's pretty fast growth. Typically around the 2-year mark, I'm seeing most people within maybe 3,000 to 5,000 subscribers. So, and we'll get into that as well, because I know you had a few videos help out with that. But now that you have 10,000 subscribers, you should be eligible for a merch store on your channel.
Oh, I did not know that.
I'll write that down. I did not know that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I think, and last time I checked, and it's funny because I still haven't, added that to ours as well. But I think they might be partnered with Teespring or something like that. So like create your own shop on Teespring. I think there's a way that you can link in there. And that was the last time I looked at it, but it's been a little while. So I don't know if they've changed that up, but that was the requirement last time, is 10,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And if you've ever seen the channels where like right below the video, it'll have, the merch store. That's what it's like. It's basically just like a little where they can scroll left to right and see different t-shirts or mugs or things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
That's very cool. Yeah. The side benefit is, I don't know if you've had this experience, but I noticed I'm a dude. I like free t-shirts. So a lot of people in the community will be like, oh, giving me shirts, right? They're smart because they know I'm going to wear them in the videos.
Yep.
So I'm advertising for free. So I noticed like some of my videos, man, I've got the same North Idaho Arms or whoever t-shirt in. I'm like, I'm giving this dude free advertising. Good for them. But now I have so many of these t-shirts that every video I'm wearing one of our own t-shirts, which is like, I know you've done that before. And I think that's a smart move rather than giving it to somebody else, right? We're promoting ourselves.
Yeah, I've got a lot of t-shirts, polos. I like the, you ever heard of Sunday Swagger? Sunday Swagger. It's like a golf brand. So they make, especially here in Dallas in the summer, if it's 100 degrees, then they just make those really nice, light, stretchy polos. And that's what I found. I was like, I ordered patches from a company called Custom Patch Hats. So if you look at Custom Patch Hats, they're really cool because they'll make like the and of course I'm not wearing anything today. They where we get our, seeing if I got something in here, but of course I don't. So the make like really cool patches, and then I just find the polos that I like from like Sunday Swagger and send them into a company, like a embroidery company, and they'll just sew the patches on, or buy some trucker hats off of Amazon and have them sew the patches on. And so it gives it a nice 3D look. But yeah, all different types of things you could do with merch ideas for sure.
Yeah.
So, but I like that. So yeah, North Idaho experience. And I do like that as well. Let me ask you about the podcast there, because that is something, could be considered controversial sometimes as far as, should you have a podcast? Is this matter? Are you kind of mixing relocation with local information, and how do you feel like that's been working out?
I think it's been really good. Like I said, it works on different levels because it provides incredible information for people that don't live here and are thinking about moving here, because we'll have an hour, they're out about an hour long, usually, sometimes a little bit longer. And we just pull people from the community. Everybody has a tie to North Idaho somehow. So it's either a business, a cool person doing whatever. We've had just the whole gamut of people. There's so many interesting manufacturers up here. We keep finding people that make ammunition or really unique firearms or whatever, and pulling them in.
Hey, real quick, if you're thinking about changing brokerages or you're brand new and you're thinking about choosing a brokerage, well, Travis and I would love to talk to you about partnering with us at EXP. You'll get access to all of our coaching, training, and courses at no cost, but mainly we want to see if we're a good fit for each other. So just check the description below and you can book a call with myself and Travis, and we look forward to speaking with you.
So we get that information to people from out of state that are thinking about it. They're like, wow, I'm really learning about the community, because that's a big question for a lot of people. And then on the flip side, we're building a relationship with that person in particular. And I, like, numerous times I've had someone finish a podcast to be like, man, if I'm ever going to buy or sell, like, I'm going to use you guys. I like you guys now. So it works on multiple levels.
And I'll just have to thank you, because I actually got the idea to start the podcast from a sub club meeting a while back.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, I have this idea. And then we kind of fostered that.
It's my favorite thing to do now. I love to talk to people. So, and having an hour, to sit down with somebody, and it's intimidating if somebody's out there and they're thinking about it, right? It can be intimidating. Like, where do I even start? Well, start really small. You don't need all the gear. We have all the gear now. We've got cameras and lights and the whole thing, and a whole dedicated studio, but you don't need that. We didn't start with that. And just start having conversations, and the same thing with the YouTube. And you've been harping on this, like, whatever you do, just do it consistently. So we never miss, like, one podcast every week. It always happens without fail.
And you're doing that in your office?
Yeah. One of the few offices we have. So we do have a dedicated room just for the podcast, and I'll use it for videos sometimes. If we're doing it like an in-studio video, we'll dual purpose it for that. But for the most part, it is just dedicated. You can't see it all right now, but we've got cool stuff on the walls from local businesses that have come on. They'll give us stuff, and we hang it up here. So it's kind of a neat. People always come in and they're like, "Oh wow, this is pretty cool."
I like that. Yeah. I like the background. Looks good. The neon. I mean, you guys are really stepping up the game over there. So let's talk about. I do want to get into that a little bit more, but people are always curious about the success, and so 10,000 subscribers within 2 years, and then last year, 2024. When did you officially start the channel again? Remind me.
Gosh, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's a hazy area. I don't like to look at those videos because they're so atrocious.
I think it was like summer of 23, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So summer of 23. Let's just say somewhere around there. So first year again, or let's say the 2023. Do you remember where you ended up as far as YouTube business?
Yeah. So 6 months before we got one call, right? Which is long.
Okay.
And it's hard.
And we were doing 2 videos a week.
We're doing 2 videos a week and the podcast. And maybe not then. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's hard, right? And we needed accountability. There were so many times I'm like, why am I even doing this? And then she'd kick me in the butt and get me going, right? So having the accountability partner is huge. And the sub club is really good for that. Just to have other people to bounce it off, because you're going to have days where you're like, what am I doing here? This is so hard. You're trying to do the normal job and make videos, and it's super stressful. So it was about 6 months before we got our first call. We hit 1,000 subscribers. Was it January of last year?
Mm-hmm.
January of 24.
Okay.
January 24, we hit 1,000. And it was like, holy crap, like, we're doing it. It was a big day.
And by then we were having a pretty steady flow of people coming in.
And y'all closed a few deals though in 23, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Once we got that one call, it was like the next week we got another call, and then it just started kind of filtering in pretty quickly. It was interesting.
Yeah.
And then within a year, we've cracked 10,000. So we just hit 10,000 like a month ago.
I think, a couple weeks ago.
Not that long ago.
So that growth happened really in 2024. So if you had 1,000 by January, wow. So 10,000. Okay.
So like 9,000
Yeah.
subscribers in the
and
year.
I can attribute a lot of that to a few videos, believe it or not. We had a couple that just blew up and, have a couple 100,000 views. And one in particular got us at least 3,000 subscribers. Yeah. And it's weird, right? It's not everybody's niche. We live in North Idaho. It's a unique culture. It's very conservative. The gun culture is huge. So we tapped into making some videos about gun laws. And that's what blew up for us. Yeah. You can look at it and say, how's that even relate to real estate? Well, it actually does, because a lot of people moving here are moving here because of that, because the gun laws are so favorable in North Idaho. People are leaving California, Oregon, and Washington and coming here because they want that freedom. So it actually has translated pretty well. And I know that wouldn't work for everybody, but if you can find that unique niche wherever you're at, whatever it is, it might be worth tapping into.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's something that may not work for every single market as well. I think, talking to you that last time, it gave me courage, because I stay away from mostly controversial topics, but I'm always just concerned about the YouTube taking me down.
Yeah.
But
yes.
So I was like, let's give it a try, because gun laws, it does come up from time to time for us too. And I did that video. And the funny thing is that it tanked so bad. And what we did is, we went out to our videographer's land, which he's got about 40 acres. And so we went out there and we set up a whole bunch of targets. And then, Travis was former Navy. Vince, a guy on our team, was former Marine. And then Chris, the other guy on our team, was former Navy as well. And I was blown away by the gun collection that our team had, because they came out with, it was a lot. I was like, holy cow. I was like, all right, this is a lot. So we went through a lot of guns. We actually turned it into a little shooting competition as well. And then talked about gun laws in between. So tried to spice it up a little bit. And then that video tanked. It went nowhere, and really took about, I think, 5 to 6 months before it took off. And that was the interesting part about it. And I was like, okay, is YouTube suppressing this, or what's going on? But and if you look at, do you follow your analytics much? Yeah. As far as, okay, so, the little gray line that shows how your normal videos do. And, we're always trying to be above that. This one was like bottom, like just bottom. Flat, but then like about the 5 to 6 month mark, it just spikes up and it shoots way over. And it's now, it's got, 30,000-40,000 views now, which is, I'll take that on any video, but it was literally like 1,000 views for almost 5 months, which was interesting. Oh,
wow. So, yeah. It's interesting, because after our first gun video did so well, we were like, well, let people want to see this. Let's do a couple more. And they didn't do good. Yeah, they also just kind of tanked. And then we've had a couple now, because we periodically update it, and that have done well. And we just did one a couple weeks ago. That's what got us over the 10,000 mark.
Yeah, that one got us another 300 or 400 subscribers. So it's hard to understand.
I don't know if it's YouTube or what.
And on that, we have been suppressed many times. Like, we call it shadow banning, because there's nothing official, but you can tell, there's no subscribers. Nothing happens for days. I'm assuming people have reported us, and then it gets reviewed and realize we're not breaking any rules. We did also get a warning one time from a podcast, because we were talking about that, the C word, that big pandemic a few years ago. Apparently that's a no on YouTube, because it's medical misinformation. So we've avoided that. Our editor cuts, if that word ever gets mentioned, our editor cuts it out at this point. And we haven't gotten in trouble since. But that is very nerve-wracking when you toe the line and you get a warning, because they say, another warning is a strike. 3 strikes and your channel's just gone. Yeah. And you look at the amount of money that the channel brings in, it's frustrating.
Yeah. I use a lot of words like freedom friendly, less restrictions, so I'm always thinking about tax friendly, business friendly. Those are my ways of saying, hey, we're not here to, the Texas government is not here to stifle business and over-regulate you and also lock you down and things like that. So, yeah, it was always something I was mindful of, which was why I was a little hesitant to make the gun video. But I got a weapon, I would say, is what we would call it in the military, on the thumbnail. So that was interesting as well. But overall, yeah. But I don't think nobody's called us directly. I know that you've gotten a few direct calls where people are like, "Hey, gun video is awesome. Just wanted to either reach out, touch base, or thinking about moving, or could you tell me a little bit more?" And so you can correlate business has generated from that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're pretty niche in who we serve up here or who calls us. It tends to be from the veteran community or from the first responder community. And that, honestly, I think it's just because it's a niche market up here. That's a lot of the people that are moving here. So a majority, I would say. So they find us, they realize that our values align, and then we get that call. It's been off the hook, the amount of calls that we get. I'd say we're averaging 1 to 2 a day. If you break it down, some days we get 5, some days we get 0, but I think on average we're getting 1 to 2 calls, texts, or emails every day. And it's like, holy crap. It's right. What a good problem to have. I feel bad saying it because I know there are agents out there that don't get any, and it's frustrating.
Well, I emphasize that a lot too. I mean, because I say, look, guys, one phone call a day. If you're a solo agent, that is almost too much right there. And you're now a brokerage with 50 agents, right? Which, by the way, we haven't even gotten to this. Let me touch real quick on 2024 numbers, because it's so much you don't even know how much it was.
We're still recovering from last year.
So I'll start out. So we it was us, the two of us, and then we joined up with a couple partners, 2 other people. In January 20th, when we hit that 1,000 mark, we were on a retreat with them, and we decided to all join up as a team and be an official team. So we'll start.
Is that when you first met them?
Well, no, we've known him for a few years off and on. I've done a few deals with him, and then one of them was still a full-time police officer at the time, and he actually just 2 weeks ago left the PD to come full-time as a realtor. So we didn't know them super well, right? There was a leap of faith there for sure.
Oh yeah.
And the way we did things is very unique. We split. So there's 5 of us total, but 3. So we count as 1, and then Dave and his wife are 1, and then Eric is the 3rd. So we split everything. All deals get split thirds. So no matter who does the deal, we all get a piece of it. And that's a very unique structure that obviously would not work for a lot of people, but we all work really hard. So, it's a competition to us, and we like that. We all come from that first responder world, I think. So it works well for us to have that team that everybody relies on. That feels very familiar.
You can be like, well, hey, I brought in 60 leads this month. How many did you bring in?
Exactly. That's the mindset of the guys on our team. It's like the phone rings, and because it's like that phone rings on all 3 of their phones, and they fight for who answers it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
There are challenges. It's hard to do full-time content creation, this, and do deals. So I'm trying to push more onto them, so that I frees up time for videos and stuff. But they come in, they do the podcast with me, Eric and Dave. So one of them is always on the podcast with me, and they're getting into more videos as well, which makes the handoff a lot easier. And then we also have a buyer's agent that we hired, who fits the bill, veteran, former cop too. He's better looking than all of us, that bastard. But and so to spread that workload, because that was our biggest challenge last year, is like, holy shit, we're making a lot of money. That's awesome. But my quality of life is a little bit down. Like summertime in North Idaho, that's the time to be on the boat, but I don't have time to be on the boat. So I'm struggling.
Yeah. Everything's green, right? And you're like, oh, I want to get
let's go.
Yeah. And beautiful. Yeah. But to get back to your question, in January of last year, we decided to officially be a team. And so from that time, so what was that, 2024? So we, as a team, earned about 1.2 in commission.
So we did 60 million in sales as the whole team.
Okay.
And 35 to 40 million of that came entirely from YouTube. which is a crazy number, right? Like you look at that and you're like, holy shit. And we're not a big market, right? We're North Idaho, that skinny little piece. You know, we've got a population of maybe 250,000 in the greater metropolitan area here. So pretty impressive. Like we came in and we took a huge chunk of the market, which feels
that's so impressive. I mean, first of all, yeah, you know, the market that you serve, but 35 to 40 million, even if it's, let's just go on the low side of 35 million from your YouTube channel. Did you ever think you would, those words would come out of your mouth?
No, especially not that, like, that's like our first year of it actually bringing in clients.
Yeah. You know, the year before it was just me and Kristen, and we did 9.5 million between the two of us. And that was like, cool. Like, you know, we're making a living. That was good.
How much do you think half of that was from YouTube or a small?
Probably
the
more.
9.5 million?
3/4.
Oh,
2/3 maybe came from YouTube.
Yeah.
So maybe you did 6 million from YouTube 2023.
Yeah, probably about that, and then exploded.
Yeah, you know, and I just talked with another one of our guys, David Simcox. He's in Bluffton / Hilton Head. His market's like 40,000, and he did what, 5 million his first year, 2023, 2024. He did 22 million in a town of 40,000. Yeah, and he was like and he's been in real estate for 12 years. Most money he's ever made. It 2.5x what he's ever made. You know, he was always like a 200K type of guy and over 500K in GCI, you know, last year in that market. And then time and time again, I've seen this with Sabrina in Tulsa, Kayla in North Carolina. It's just like the second year right now. This is the problem with us starting in, you know, December 2020, January 2020. I mean, clearly timing, you know, was on our side. And, you know, for us to hit $1 million that first year, first of all, that's unheard of practically anywhere in real estate, no matter what. But to do that on YouTube, we absolutely capitalized off of timing. Now, I wasn't planning that. Literally, I was just trying. I was hoping to make 100, maybe 200, like 200,000 was my stretch goal. I was like, if I can just make that, you know, I would be a happy new real estate agent. You know, I wasn't expecting it to do what it did, but we caught that momentum. But now, like I said, most people that started, saw what we did and then started that in 2023. You got to realize 2023 and 2024 have been some of the worst real estate years in the last 30 years. 2024 was literally the worst transaction, the lowest transaction count in the last 30 years. And so 2023, 2024 have been a struggle for the majority of real estate agents. But I'm seeing 2024 as the second year for so many people like yourself, and their YouTube business just blew it up. I mean, it's crazy to hear the numbers, especially like 6 million. You know, some people be like, oh, only 6 million, but actually, no, that's still a good income. But to go from 6 to 35, like that's, you know, people don't do that in regular business. They don't do that in real estate. You don't like cold call, $6 million worth of business and then cold call 35 million. And that's, I think, the true compounding effect of video content and the power of YouTube on there. So, you know, Seth, you weren't even in real estate a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
Didn't your wife sucker you into it?
Yeah, exactly. She did. And now she hides in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Now I manage all the YouTube stuff now.
Okay, cool. Yeah. You know what?
The back end of all that.
You know, that's the opportunity that you have too with the team and the partnerships. I mean, if you can clearly define roles and responsibilities and people can sit in the seat that they're the strongest at, I mean, you're going to be unstoppable. But also to start your own brokerage now, by the way, and you said you've grown to 50 agents within the last year. I mean, that's pretty, and you mentioned multiple offices, I guess. So now you have, how many offices do you have?
Currently 2. We're trying to figure out how to upsize into one bigger one.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. But, so we started the brokerage in September, and it was our team that we just talked about. And then we brought in one other guy, also former law enforcement. And he's a broker. He was the broker at Keller Williams here in town for a long time.
Okay.
And
he good at recruiting? Because how did you
so he is, and so is Dave, our other partner. But I think that our authority in town through our YouTube and our podcast, a lot of people are joining because they want that culture they're seeing in the podcast. And we're putting out some pretty good social media, our team. And so all the agents are seeing that. And so that I think a lot of them want to join to be around that culture that they're showing on the social media.
We have a lot of fun. And we're slightly inappropriate, right? Everybody loves that. We call ourselves the anti-brokerage because we try to break the mold of all the traditional brokerages. And I think that's really appealing to people. We have built a presence in the last year. It's weird. I cannot go downtown in Coeur d'Alene without someone recognizing me from the YouTube channel. I was at the grocery store the other day and some lady came up to me and was like, "Hey, we love your channel." They usually say podcast because people get confused, but whatever. So I always take time now to like just talk to them for a couple of minutes and give them my attention because I think people appreciate that. But it's very weird to have like a little bit of a celebrity status just from making videos on YouTube, but it's powerful too because having that recognition as you go around town is pretty awesome to help build your business.
Yeah, I mean that's branding, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know your branding is working whenever the people are recognizing you, and I mean it's crazy, and you also find out how many people didn't buy from you as well, right?
Oh yeah, all the time. You're like, wait a minute, so you came here because of my videos? I don't remember selling you a home.
You don't look familiar. It's funny, I'll politely call people out whenever that happens. They're like, "Oh, I moved here because of your channel," and I'll say, "Really? I'm so sorry. You don't look too familiar. Did you work with one of the team members?" And they were like, "Well, my brother's cousin's uncle is a real estate agent. My wife told me I had to use them." And I'm like, "No, don't worry about it. It's all good." So it's funny. Yeah, you don't know. I talk about this being a rejection-free business, but then you learn because nobody calls you and says, "Man, yeah, Seth, Kristen, thanks for the awesome videos, but I got to go with my brother's uncle's aunt," so and so they don't call you, and you don't know that they don't exist and that didn't happen. So it's funny. But yeah, it's I mean the branding, I think especially at church and things like that. I think I've populated half the church now over here, and I help with the youth group. And the kids, like, I think that helped with rapport because I got the 7th grade boys. And so the first night I walked in, like 5 of them were, "Hey, you're YouTube guy," and so, nothing cooler to the kids than a YouTuber, right?
Yep. And they all want to be YouTubers, and for a long time, I told my kids, I'm like, you can't actually do that. And then I'm like, "Oh, actually, we're doing that. Huh, maybe you can." Huh. Anyway.
Oh, by the way, y'all like jokes? I got a joke for you.
Yeah, hit me.
Yeah. What do you call a couch potato that watches YouTube?
Ooh.
I don't know.
A YouTuber.
Oh, shit. I was thinking something Idaho. I'm like, there's got to be a tie to Idaho here.
That's hilarious.
Nice one. That's good. Yeah.
That should work well with y'all have potatoes up there, don't you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, not actually up north, but down southern Idaho. But Idaho is known for their potatoes.
Yeah.
So I gotta steal that.
Hey, what about western Idaho? Is that ever gonna come to fruition?
Oh, the Greater Idaho.
Is it Greater Idaho?
Greater Idaho. I don't know. I get people always reach out to me about that.
You should make a video on that.
I should actually.
I bet you that's a highly searched topic. I bet.
Oh yeah.
Definitely be a controversial topic. I mean, if you find anything on recent news or grumblings or even city council meetings or something like that, you could be like, I mean, if you position that, especially a title or thumbnail around the Greater Idaho or Bye Oregon or something like that, that would be funny.
That'd probably be a banger of a video. Yeah. Bet you. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Good idea.
Hey, I'm here all week,
So I got value out of this. This is good.
Oh, thanks. you were thinking how terrible that you were. Oh my God.
So back to the numbers. I feel like our goal this year is to hit 100 million in total sales.
Crazy.
Yeah, and we've had average of 15 homes. Our team specifically, not the brokerage, that's totally separate. Our team specifically has had an average of about 15 homes in escrow all winter, and that is extremely abnormal for up here. it slows down a lot in the winter everywhere, but up here especially because of snow and crappy conditions. So, I'm pretty confident we're going to hit that goal, which is mind blowing to do it with a small team. But you're right. Like you mentioned earlier, having areas of responsibility, everybody, like you have to find out what you're good at and break it down and share that workload, because you can't do it all. Especially when you start getting into the higher volume. Like I couldn't, there's no way I could do it without Kristen managing the back and then having admins to help that. And we have an editor in the Philippines. Like all of that has to come together to make this thing happen.
Well, are you, I'm sure you like production, or maybe you don't. I mean, is the goal for you to maybe just get into content only?
That is, we keep bringing that goal up, and I keep getting sucked back in because I want to compete with the other guys. I'm like, sons of bitches.
He's having a hard time.
Yep.
That's funny. That's what I tell Travis. I'm like, Travis, you're lucky that I never actually got into production. Otherwise, I would have been the greatest salesman.
Yeah.
Because I was in sales for 20 plus years, and I loved it. I was always the best because I was the best prospector. I was just always willing to out prospect people and do the crazy stuff. And I've done phone calls. I've done the in-person. I've always chased after people, and I was just willing to, I think I was just, success through brunt force, so is what helped me out. Now, of course, I definitely studied sales and learned some good conversational tactics and all that other stuff. But this has blown me away. Like I've never experienced in 20 plus years. It's like, oh, man, I wish I would have got on YouTube in 2005.
Right. Yeah.
My whole sales career would have been different, but it's crazy to have your phone ring, right, with people that, especially real estate agents, right? Real estate agents sometimes get the bad rap as ulterior motives, or, just, shaking hands, kissing babies, mm-hmm. and then, oh, here's my card, type of scenario. And here people are like, hey, can you help me buy a $1.5 million house?
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. Like I could not, I can't cold call. I don't want to door knock. I don't want to do that. That doesn't jive with me. And I know it works for some people. So if you love that, do it. But like, it's soul sucking to me. But I love building relationships. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. And if I can do it in a genuine way where I'm not trying to sell anybody anything really, they call me, it's like the easiest thing in the world. I don't consider myself a salesman. I may sell them on the area, but that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So it makes sales really manageable for me and my personality.
Yeah. I think I was at a meeting last week with and Kyle Whistle, who he's number one team in EXP for 2024. They did like 750 million. Right. And it was funny because he just said, he goes, I still do 3 or 4 transactions a year just to remind myself how much I hate production.
Yeah.
I was wondering about, like, I follow him on social media, but people like that, I'm like, do they do many deals anymore?
No. And Kyle, he kind of broke down. No, he's very, very EOS driven. He's very visionary, integrator driven. And so he works 4 days a week. He works Monday through Thursday, 8 hours, Monday through Thursday, 8 hours a day, and Friday, Saturday, and Sundays off, and so
that sounds pretty damn good.
That's what I keep telling Seth. If he can step away from sales, which he has the ability to do, then we can put more thought behind the videos, more thought behind the podcast, and different ideas to build it.
Yeah. And the thing is that this is what you're probably struggling with this now. And so I'll just offer some encouragement and take Kristen's back on this is that, whenever I started, and probably the same with you, like I had a lot more time on my hands. So it was literally study YouTube, make YouTube, study YouTube, make YouTube videos, research Dallas, make videos, research Dallas, and it was a simple life, back then. And now, now I'm just, getting into 2024, I had to get back to literally, I have meeting Monday. That's what I call it. So I'm almost like back to back from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on meetings. And I just figured, I don't want 2 or 3 meetings scattered all throughout the week. I'm just going to knock them out on Monday. I meet with the different team members that I need to. We have all hands on deck. We have an executive meeting, and then I just go back to back like that, because I'm just like, look, here's what you need for the week, or here's what I need from you. What do you need from me? Okay, let's get after it. And of course we'll touch base if we need to, but I don't want things scheduled on my calendar like Tuesday through Friday, so, and I have to get back to actually, working in content. I mean, I've got multiple channels though too, I've got to work into, and especially you add in the coaching side of it too, everything just pulls you in the different directions. And so I'm like, look, I know last year I winged a lot of content. And, that's not a time. It's not a time for me to do it, because especially in Dallas, more and more channels are popping up, and I'm not even trying, but of course the influence, or, if people come through the program or whatever, I'm not going to stop anybody or tell anybody, well, you can't, or if they ask me to help them in Dallas, I'm not going to say no. I just, I'm not that type of person. So, I'm creating this own issue, and the only way for me to continually win in that environment is to make better content, right? And so, something that it's got to be a focus for me this year is getting back to content creation, or a little bit extra effort versus winging it. I'm a pretty good winger, but at the same time, you don't want to do that, going forward. So it's something that, I think it's good discussions to have, healthy discussions to have within the business, because you see what it can generate. And if it generates 2/3 of your business last year, just think about if you really, really concentrate on that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It's good advice. Yeah. Last year I did 19 million by myself and did all the video stuff. And it's like, not an ideal lifestyle. It was a rough summer.
That's hard to get for him to get creative and like get into that space when he's like working 16-hour days to get content in and real estate.
And the emotional roller coaster of doing the sales side of it is tough. So you get really sucked in, and you're pulled in so many different directions that it's hard. I need that like downtime to let my brain just kind of come up with stupid ideas that are funny.
Yeah.
And that I can roll with. And
both time.
If I'm so busy, I just don't have that. It doesn't happen. Yeah. So that is definitely something we're going to work on this summer, maybe.
Yeah. We just got this lake house, and it's, I'm like, I want to spend like all summer down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just been interesting, especially with Travis and my partnership. It just kind of worked out. I mean, I had full intention. I was ready to be the solo agent, make videos, but I could see how that could have fizzled out real quickly. I probably would have never had, I wouldn't have had the success or been able to do the volume without partnership or teams or things like that, or just giving off responsibility. And I think, for me, I did 3 videos a week for 2 years, and that's because I wanted to grab a hold of Dallas. There was only 2 channels in Dallas whenever I started, and they were both pretty good, but been able to, I blew right by them because they were doing 1 video a week. And so other things like that, I think you got to look at too, like your market, understand most people are going to start out 1 video a week. And I think that's great too, but also you will grow with the amount of content you put out. If you put out 2 or 3 videos a week and you want to increase lead flow, and that's the other aspect of it. You got to look at, man, I've got a 50-person brokerage, which by the way, Kyler, who I was just talking to, he'll be on the podcast next week. He closed 175 deals from YouTube last year.
Holy
yeah. And, and he's got 50 agents. And, one thing he said is he spreads the YouTube leads out amongst more agents. He finds that that's he believes helped his closing ratios because, each agent's getting 1 or 2 leads or YouTube leads specifically. Right. And so that way they really focus and concentrate on those people. But even if he stacks up with them, they're able to still concentrate if they start to get 3 months old or 4 months old or 5. It's not like, in 2022, we were like, here you go, here's 5 leads. Oh, here you go, here's 5 leads. Oh, here you go. And I can't tell you, I'm sure we dropped the ball on a lot of them. And actually, we did an audit in 2023, And we know we lost at least 20 deals from 2022 because when we actually started to go back through there and really follow up with people, we're like, oh crap, nobody's called this person in 4 months, 5 months. And they had already bought homes with somebody else,
Yep.
We found at least 20 of those. And so again, and I get it, because we all have separation anxiety with our business, but it's something that you really, really have to look down. And as far as scaling and you know what, you might, 19 million, I don't know if you pass that out, that could that have turned into 25 or 30 million that the team was able to close because it wasn't, and I don't know the answer to that question, but these are the types of things you want to start thinking about
Right.
as far as, you're the best position for you. But still, I think it's a clear winner. If you were able to do 19 million and create content and that generated 2/3 of the business, imagine if you started to focus more on content
Right.
back on it. So,
yeah. We've thought about hiring additional buyer's agents, and we'll probably have to at some point. And we could spread the leads out on the brokerage. We're kind of playing with what those splits look like. Like currently, if it's a YouTube lead, we do it for a 50-50. I don't know if that's ideal or not. People are very happy to get them because the leads are incredible. I mean, it's a very high close rate. So it feels good to us. I don't know. Do you guys do something?
I think I think 60-40, 60 to you is more appropriate because when you think about it, a 50-50 is not a true 50-50 split back to you in brokerage, right? Because then you've got the expense and the overhead and your time and effort for creating content. I mean, you got to look at like, what's your true value? What's your hourly rate really? But, so even if you were to say 20% for expenses, then that's more like a 40-40 split, 40% to the brokerage, 40 to the agent. And that's more fair. So if anybody pushes back on that, well, the thing is like, you got 50 agents. You can say, well, we're going to have our Navy SEAL team, for YouTube. Maybe that's the top 10 agents or 15 agents, or you've got to, when you close your own personal 6 deals or 12 deals or something, boom, that makes you eligible for YouTube leads. And so maybe it's open to anybody that stays consistent on a deal per month or 2 deals per month or something like that. If there's contribution back, then you could always look at some sort of criteria to do that. You don't want to pick like 4 or 5. I know that, especially with your lead flow. And then they get accustomed to just, oh man, I've already gotten 5 or 6 YouTube leads this month. So if you have some of those eligibility requirements or milestones maybe that people pass up, I think that's a good incentive for them. And then 60-40 for YouTube, plus it's the highest quality client you could pass on to somebody. But that would be a more fair split even to the brokerage, because the agent just gets 50%. Like they got nothing to lose. They got nothing, other than their time. Right. And so, they close that deal. They're like, thanks for my 50%. And then you're like, well, I've got 2 offices. I've got a video.
You've got a lot of expenses.
I went out there and I drove, 30 minutes to this neighborhood and I filmed for 2 hours. And, so I think 60-40 is probably more appropriate, my personal opinion. And hopefully none of your agents are watching this.
No, that's good advice. You're right. I know Kristen's tried to push me that way. And I'm like, just a super generous person. So it's a fault. I think at that point, she's more business minded. So that's good. That's good advice.
Yeah. Well, we've been there and done that. So it's always interesting. So, but let's go back to, let me see. We covered podcast. You do that in-house. You have different people come on. You kind of give the local perspective. The Idaho experience. You got your merch store going, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to add it to your YouTube channel, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
What else are you guys working on? What else do you feel is let me ask this. What are a couple of the other videos? You had gun laws. You said was that your biggest video that blew up?
Yeah.
What are you mentioned 2 or 3 videos?
The other ones that do really well are generally related to prepping. That's a big culture up here. Yeah. So we've had some podcasts, actually. Some of our podcasts are hit and miss. We might get 500 views on a podcast, or we might get 15,000. It's really.
And you're doing the video portion. You're putting that on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Under the podcast tab.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Exactly. And then our editor, at least for the video side, he'll cut in B-roll in the podcast while we're talking. So it kind of makes it more engaging for the video side. And then we also push it out on all the audio platforms as well. But yeah, the prepping ones do really well. We've had, 15,000 views on a prepping podcast. So that's a good topic for us. And it's like one of those things, it's very specific to the niche and the area up here, I would say.
I would say the other ones that do good are like the top things you need to know about North Idaho, or something kind of almost on a negative, unfortunately, connotation, because we don't like to do that. We don't like to be clickbaity, but something like you need to know this type of thing. Yeah,
put like that exigency on people where like, because they're having doubts, like, should I move to North Idaho? And then you kind of play on that a little bit. Like she said, we don't like to be super clickbaity. That's a turn off to some people, but it does tend to get a lot of clicks.
Yeah, I mean, I always recommend like one or two of those. They never hurt. I mean, it's definitely going to draw attraction. I mean, the news always had the slogan, if it bleeds, it leads, right? They always know leading with controversy or negativity is going to draw the crowd. And, not necessarily a bad thing, but I also don't want to be the negative channel, right? I don't want to be the guy making market crash videos the last 5 years in a row. Like
right.
Now 2025, this is the year of the market crash, right? And it's like, okay, have we seen some price adjustments here or there? Yeah, sure, of course. But as far as actually, I just put together some content for a video, and it's like, in Dallas here in February, year over year, we're up again. And listings are down and prices are up, and it's just this whole conundrum. And it's like, yeah, be careful when you talk about Dallas, and especially where we're at. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So there's something else I was going to ask you, but it'll come back to me now because now.
So in terms of content, though, to go back on that question, so we do one, we call it, what do we call it? Like a real estate content video week, and then we do one podcast a week.
Okay. I was going to ask that too. Yeah. So you're at 2 videos a week.
We're at 2 videos a week, and then we do the real estate is just that, like, a neighborhood tour or about a city or something that has to do with buying real estate in the area. And then the podcast is, as we already talked about, community centered.
And then we're trying to about once a month do one of the, like a lifestyle video, we call it. And that's kind of highlighting some unique way to up here,
like hiking or hunting or something in the area.
Right. We did an elk hunting one in the fall.
We just did an ice fishing.
That was pretty cool.
Oh,
yeah. So like those are fun. And, we have our videographer come out and do it. So it's good production. And it kind of like, it's usually we try to get the whole team out there, and we're all really good friends. So it's fun to, people can see us hanging out together and doing whatever activity it is that we're doing. So those are pretty cool. I think that's a good way to show people, what you can do up here, because that's a big part of it, like why they're moving here for that lifestyle.
Yeah. In my mind, I'm just trying to think about how to like close the loop, like do everything, right? So we have the community, we have the real estate, we have what to do in the area. So if people come to our channel, they get a little bit of like everything they're thinking about.
Yeah. And we tie, like we have a really good web page now that we just had built. So, and then that has a lot of community resources. It's got tabs for schools, restaurants, like you can go on, sports, you can go on there and just like learn everything about the area. So we're trying to just hit every possible angle. So we are the one-stop shop for any resource that you need to think about relocating up here.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. I like that. And something that, we've had some videos around what's happening. That might be something else you think about adding in. There's a lot of upcoming development. I find that very interesting for locals, because you think about how many times have you driven by a piece of dirt getting moved around, and you're like, oh, well, what's happening there? What's going on? And then if you live close by there, you're going, okay, well, how does this affect me and real estate in the area? And so that's something too, that those are some topics maybe you already do, but you could look at, dirt, when dirt starts moving around the area. That might be a little section on the podcast, or you talk about, oh, by the way, if you've seen over off of First Street and and Second Street, you start to see the tractors over there moving stuff. What's going up is this, and this, and it could be interesting.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Because that's you, and that's also it's usually highly searched as well because people are wondering. It's not like in the construction sites they never most of the time actually they don't put up a big sign that says, "Hey, we're building this," So you're sitting there wondering, what's going on there? Or road construction too, right? People are always wondering, when is this going to end?
Yep.
I mean, in Dallas, I feel like they're always working on a road somewhere.
Same here.
Gosh, yeah. We just had a video. Did it go out Sunday? We called it From Farmland to Suburbs or something like that.
And
that one's doing really well.
Yeah, we're talking about the how the growth here, basically it was very rural and now it's becoming more urban. So it was all related to that. And actually went downtown and did some interviews, which I have not done before, and was nerve wracking to just walk up to people on the street and talk to them because you never know what you're going to get. But it actually it worked out really well. And I thought it added a nice flavor to the video to get some local perspective on what they think about the growth up here. Cause it's a hot topic. We get a lot of nasty comments on our channel. You get the locals that don't want things to change, and they blame, they call it Californicating. You might have the same thing down there. So there's always that dialogue going on, which if you're starting a channel, it's okay. People are going to talk smack. That's fine. Just remind yourself that the flack is heaviest when you're over the target. So that means you're doing something right. Just keep going forward. If you're getting those comments, I always respond back. Sometimes I'm snarky. Sometimes I'm whatever. Sometimes they just get blocked because they're clearly not going to do anything for us. But you're going to get them. That's just part of the game. I've had death threats too, actually, several.
Okay, well,
you
were doing so well, Seth. Too.
Yes.
You hadn't scared off any of our viewers.
I'll remind them. I toe the line very strong. I am, like I said, this is a very strongly conservative area. I am not shy about it. So there are a lot of people that get pissed off.
So it must be the liberals then coming after you.
Yes, oftentimes it's pretty much that. So I take it with a grain of salt. I don't really sweat it. But that stuff happens.
So do you own a Tesla as well?
I should get one. Just but yeah, so it is what it is. I don't really lose any sleep over it anymore. But if you're the kind of person that gets bothered by that, just
me.
Just get somebody else to respond to them. I don't let her do it. Just let it roll off your back. People like to talk smack online. That's what it is. But there's a lot of good comments too. Let me follow that. I'm not scaring people away. We get a lot of great comments too. So that's encouraging.
Any best practices? Anything that you've come across on your own as far as man, I tried this out and this really worked. Other than, I know you've gone after some interesting video topics, we'll call it, or kind of off the cuff or not necessarily geared towards real estate, but anything else is that you've seen that, man, we tried this one little thing or something like that. Any hidden gems you got?
I can tell you what doesn't work.
Okay.
That might be easier. We have had very bad success with business spotlight videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
People, I think that's more of a social media thing, and that's where we're pushing that now, is we do little clips of showing off a business. We've tried some and realized that nobody really cares about the beautiful backstory of the business owner. Like, nobody cares. They just want to see the freaking cupcakes that they make, and that's it. So we have moved away from doing that. Now we'll pop into businesses occasionally, but it's not like
we do a lot of business spotlights, but we do them for Instagram.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're, like I said, we're very focused on the community. So Renee and I, our partner, go out and do the business spotlights.
Yeah. So I wouldn't waste a lot of time on that. That's me personally. We've just seen it, just nothing out of those. Nobody cares.
I think we've always recommended that. So you should have just followed our advice in this.
I like to learn the hard way.
Well, it's always, and that question comes up quite often. I'm glad you brought that up because it's something that, and I'm always trying to put myself in the shoes of the viewer. Like, what do they like, and most people don't say, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. We got to find a spot that's, next to a really cool coffee shop where the owner has a great story. And, that's
Right.
just not their thought process. And I think most people assume when they move somewhere, that they're going to be close by some good restaurants or coffee shops or whatever the case may be. I mean, unless they're like, hey, I want to live 30 minutes outside in the country and have to go to the grocery store once every 2 weeks, and yeah, I mean, that's a little different, but most people are looking at, okay, area, school districts, possibly for kids. And then, those are, and safety, although of course you got to, have those interesting conversations. Well, I can't really tell you, but hey, look, here's a do your own research, but and that's usually it. And so everything else will come in. But I also do like, touching on those things. And I use the saying a lot of incorporate, don't dedicate. So it's one thing to incorporate businesses in your video, especially if you're doing a community tour, talking about a neighborhood or something like that. You can incorporate, but you don't really dedicate the whole video to that or make a specific video for that one business or something, because it's I just never really seen it work. But
I do think putting like the B-roll of the neighborhood with the coffee shop and whatever behind as you're talking, or putting a little snippet of it, is super great.
We always stop in we always grab lunch at the closest barbecue spot. So if I'm in a neighborhood, that's when I'm like, oh, it's lunchtime, Alex, let's I just Google and I put in BBQ, and I'm like, okay, here's a cool place, let's go try it. And then we might do a little B-roll, and when I'm leaving, I might say, oh, stopped in Soul Man's Barbecue right here, good spot over here in Mesquite, you should check it out, and it's like one little clip. And then we always go to a coffee shop. So then I'm like, all right, I want to after lunch coffee, let's let's go to the local coffee shop. And then I'll be like, hey, just came out, just got my iced Americano over here at, what is this place? Oh, 14.8. Yeah, good little spot. You should check them out, and that's about it. But the cool thing about that is, we had a client come in from Africa, from Kenya, and he brought me a bag of coffee, and the reason he did that, he said, I know you like iced Americanos. And so, when you incorporate, it does help people see like a side of your personality, get to know you a little bit more personally. But again, nobody really, I think, cares about the coffee shop as a whole, or, the owner. And then also, I never liked incorporating other people, really, because it's funny, people act weird on camera, so you're like, okay, all right, we're recording. And then they're like, you can't control their personality or how, I mean, sometimes it's a little weird. And which we even tried. I tried like some success or some client. We were going to make like documentaries, right? And kind of like after they moved in, got settled in, we did this with like 3 different families, and went there and we, like filmed them hanging around the house, making lunch, kids outside playing, and then wanted to do like a little couch. So we wanted to kind of tell their story. Hey, Bob and Sue came from California, and, with the job relocation, blah, 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 kind of turn that into like a little documentary. And we thought, and all 3 times it was just, they stumbled. They were, the wife or one of them like froze up, got nervous. It was funny, and it was, just kind of like, and then that ended up taking 4 or 5 hours, just to go, because you don't want to go in there and be like, hey, so you sit there and you talk, and then we hang out and blah, 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 which that's never a bad thing. But I just found it was really awkward for them, I think. And it made me uncomfortable too. And I was kind of like, okay. So, and we never published any of the 3. We actually got through them, but it was just like, I don't think this is a good move. So we kind of like scratched that project. But it's funny. I mean, I don't know. We've done so much behind the scenes that we've never published, or I don't think I've ever even told that story before. So y'all are the first. But it just coincides with different experiences that I've had as well, where we've thought about creative things and going that route. So, but thanks for bringing that up, that point.
Yeah. And it's good to be consistent with things, but if you see a pattern of it not working, like move on, like try something else. Because I see a lot of people putting those videos, not with you guys, but like locally here, I see people putting those videos out, and I'm like, that was a waste of your time. Yeah,
you know what? And I see on Instagram, going back to that, is hey, we just visited the coolest coffee shop in northern Idaho. Boom, we got the coffee. They've got pastries. Boom, and just like that. That's what.
Under a minute. Yeah.
I was talking to a couple that their Instagram is really about, and they get a ton of leads. So, and they hit like a taco shop every day. So trying to conquer all the taco shops in Orlando or something like that. And, and of course that type of stuff. I mean, if it's shareable content, that's what's going to go viral. That's what's going to get the traction.
Do you know Alyssa Kernot? I think she's in Spokane. She's pretty big. She's always on the BAM stuff. Mm-hmm. Her whole thing is on Instagram business spotlights are talking about what's coming in the area, and it's all under a minute. And she gets a ton of business from it, but that's just
and I do know same thing with Instagram though, right? I mean, it's a lot. You can definitely get a lot of leads, and usually not as intentional as YouTube, right? That's what I like about YouTube is maybe you don't get as many calls, but when you get those calls, they're really, really good calls.
Yeah. That's I just love it about that. It's unbelievable. And we have so many good relations, like people that move, we genuinely want to hang out with them because they're cool people that find us, they've watched hundreds of hours of me blabbing on about whatever online. They're like, well, if you don't hate me at this point, then we're going to be good. And it's usually the case, right? So it's like building this, and we haven't even really started tapping into, what people move on average, like 3 to 5 years or whatever. We're not even there yet, but in the next couple of years, we're going to start getting that recycling of business as people are selling and moving on to whatever. And so we're going to have to be ready to scale up for that, because that's going to be in flood of listings. We're already this year, we're starting to get some of those. So, just being ready to build the business and have the system in place to handle that, because that's coming next.
Yep. Yeah. This is our 4th year now, and we've got the most listings so far from within the channel this year than any other year. So it's starting to turn over. People are starting to turn over and reaching back out and selling homes. Some within the same neighborhood, which is always interesting or fun. I found a house down the street, or want to move across the block or whatever. And we're seeing a massive compound of that as well on the listings for us this year. And of course, it's like the most challenging time to sell a house, unless you're priced very, very well, so it's interesting, but it'll definitely, that's going to compound on that side of it too. And just imagine, 5, 6, 7 years, these channels are going to be powerhouses. So
I feel bad for everybody else out there that's not.
Well, and the other thing is just outlast everybody. I can't tell you how many channels that we've inspired in Dallas, and they started, and I'm already starting to see, a lot of them, they stayed consistent for, 1 or 2 years. And now I'm starting to see things drop off. And like I said, 2024, it seemed like just a feast or famine year, for agents. It's like the agents that did well got even better, or did even better, or were on momentum. They skyrocketed, kind of like you guys. You go from 9 to 60 million. That's massive. And everyone else was struggling, getting out of the business, not selling anything. It's just really interesting. Not really, not a lot of, it didn't seem like a lot of middle class, in real estate for 2024. So, I think it just really speaks to the power of being visible, because that's, I talked about that, which is the most visible agent is going to win in these next years, the upcoming years, at least until AI takes over, I guess, because but I talked about this the other day as well, as I'm like, guys, you got maybe a good 3-year run right now. As far as us, I don't AI, I'm excited about it, but I'm also a little scared about it as well. And I've seen the AI models. We've played around with our avatars, and they're getting pretty good. And they're not there yet, and not enough where I'd be comfortable creating a whole channel around it. But that's the other thing. Could you get somebody to pick up the phone and call you based off of an avatar? Or, maybe in 2 to 3 years, it'll be at the point where they just don't know. But then, every agent on the planet will have a channel, right? Because it'll be easy, right, to do that. So I think we got a good 3 to 4 year run, and we can adapt and mold into what's to come. But it's going to be a lot easier to do that if you got a 100,000 subscribers or a good base or a foundation and consistency. And you're also looking at these changes that are coming into it. So if you're thinking about getting started right now, absolutely. It's not too late. Yeah, you better get into it because it's just going to be interesting to see what happens over the next 2 to 3 years. And then we'll see. And then we got another election coming up anyways, right? So we'll go through all that all over again.
Right.
Yeah. So they've been interesting, but all right. Well, I really appreciate it. Any other final words of wisdom you may have for the aspiring YouTubers or agents out there?
Just be consistent. I'm sure you hear it all the time, but that is the truth. And don't be afraid to put yourself out there. If you go back and look at some of our first videos, you can laugh at me, and I don't care because it doesn't matter, right? You just put it out there. Don't go second guessing yourself. I see a lot of people comment on the Facebook group. They're like, I'm keep watching my stuff, and I don't. Who cares? Put it out. Don't even look back.
Well, and you made the point from the very beginning, 6 months for the first phone call. And then, Kristen, you said it was funny because then all of a sudden the next phone call and David, who I was talking to yesterday, 22 million last year, it took him 8 months for the first phone call. And I can't tell you how many people I've seen quit between the 4 to 7 month mark, and that is probably the average of quitting a channel. And people think that this is, overnight going to happen quickly. I'm like, no, this is a long-term play. And now, again, all the conversations I'm having the second year on YouTube right now, especially is compounding in astronomical ways. And you think about that, that's not even like 9 million to 60 million, or actually let's take your YouTube business, 6 million to 35 million. That's not a normal compound. I mean, David went from 5 million to 22 million. That is not a normal compound effect, right? That is an abnormal. And by the way, I didn't even ask how you're doing this year, but he closed 35 deals from YouTube last year. He's already got 35 deals this year in Q1. 10 closed, 25 under contract. I mean,
we're probably similar, right? Yeah. We've had a crazy year already.
And it's only not even the end of March. Yeah.
So I think we'll hit 100 million this year.
Well, that's awesome. We'll be keeping an eye out for that. Yeah. So, I really appreciate y'all's time today, and also just appreciate, just everything that you do and showing us a new way, going back to like the channel name again. I think, it's okay to be something unique. Or if you've got a brand already in effect, you want to start the channel, start your channel as your brand. I mean, carry that through and go with it. And so I really like everything that you're incorporating on there. And it's just really cool to see your success and how far you've grown so fast.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we owe it to you guys. Appreciate it. Got us started.
All right. See you on the next one.
All right.